Now that it's getting cold outside, we'll be making some furry bears wearing sweaters. We will use lots of tiny lines to show the texture of fur. Here are some other elementary school artists who made some furry bears. Didn't they do a beautiful job with these sweaters too? For inspiration, we're going to look at children's book illustrator Jan Brett from Massachusetts and Malaysian illustrator Kam Wei Fong, who makes these amazingly fluffy cats. Let's start with Jan Brett. She loves drawing animals. Have you guys read The Mitten when you were smaller? In this book, The Three Snow Bears, let's look really close up at this polar bear's fur. She had to paint every single white line with a tiny brush. Look at the detail in the coat and in the patterns and in this baby bear's parka. It's pretty amazing, right? Now let's look at Kam Wei Fong. He's an artist that I found on Instagram. He makes these amazingly fluffy cats, and he does it one tiny little line of fur at a time. Here's a little video clip of him using this tiny pen to make these itty-bitty short lines and overlap them to create areas that are really dark and really light. I wish I knew how long it took him to make his work. But wow, he must be really patient, right? Here's one of his finished cats. I love how silly he is with his shapes. All right, with all that fur inspiration, let's start making our furry bears. And if you want to make a cat with a sweater instead of a bear with a sweater, go for it. Now freeze a sec. I want you to pause the video. Make sure you have a pencil and some markers, crayons, or colored pencil for fur. We need a white paper too. Go get 'em. Go get 'em. All right, come on back. Let's draw. Quick note about your materials. If you use crayon, you'll get a thicker, softer line. It might feel really nice for the fur. You can also do this whole project with pencil. It'll take longer, but you can get really thin fur really close together and have a more maybe realistic effect. If you want to use pen, like Kam Wei Fong, the artist that we saw, again, it'll take a really long time, but it could look great, especially if you overlap the fur. Also, I recommend marker, and that's what I'm going to use for my example. It's nice and thick, it's dark, it feels furry, and my advice is to keep the head all one color, like brown or black, and then to color in the sweater. These step-by-step directions are right below this video if you want to look at them while you draw. If you want to follow me, we can do that too. The first thing to do is to draw your two ears and then connect them with a curvy line. Next, you're going to make your bear's cheeks. He can be a really kind of chubby, wide-faced bear or a skinny-faced bear. Pretty much any two lines are good. Next, I'm going to make two more lines for the sweater. And I'm starting with marker, but if you want to draw with a pencil first, that's just fine. Next are the bear's eyes. They can be small, they can be kind of big and cartoony, and a shape for what's called the muzzle. That's where the nose and mouth will go. On the eyes, I like to make little circles, kind of like spots of light, and then I color the rest in black. Please pause the video, by the way, at any time if it's going too fast. Now, I'm going to make the nose, kind of like a triangle with soft edges. And maybe I'll color that in black too. As for your mouth, you've got a couple of choices. You could make kind of a W-shaped mouth if you want a happier looking bear, or like an upside down V for a more serious looking bear. I decided he looked kind of sad, so I'm just adding a little bit of curve to make him cheer up a little bit. Now it's time to add a curvy line for the sweater. You could also do like a V-neck or something if you wanted to. And I'm gonna start by putting lines around the eyes. Let me show you why. This is a bear. He's a brown bear. Isn't he so fuzzy? Let's zoom in and, all right, look at the direction of the fur. Is it up and down? Not really, right? It follows around his eyes, comes out from his nose, and that's what we're gonna try to do on our picture. He even has a part in his hair. So we've got fur coming off from his nose and mouth area. And then I'm gonna start making more rows of fur. Now, one of your other choices is you can decide whether you want your lines to be close together, whether you want them to be far apart, and whether you want them to overlap. This is just up to you. It's whatever you think looks cool and whatever you have the patience for. So here I'm gonna keep going. I might speed up the video for you a little bit. And as we get away from the eyes, your fur lines could get longer and they can start to go out towards the edges of the face. Now, if this were a regular art year, this would probably be one whole class, just the fur. But since I only see you every 2 weeks, we're gonna kind of speed it up and work on the sweater too. So if you don't have time to finish the sweater, that's okay. You can work on it during a Wellness Wednesday or whenever you have free time. I'm gonna show you though what I would do. I'm gonna give this guy a cardigan. I made a letter V for a V-neck and some buttons, just for fun. And then you can decide if you wanna decorate it using lines. We've talked about straight lines and zigzag lines and wavy lines, or if you wanna draw pictures. I notice a lot of people seem to be really into unicorns right now, so I'm gonna draw a couple unicorns. You can draw sports equipment, you can draw a favorite character, cars, whatever you are into. After you're done drawing, I recommend that you color. If you use a black marker to outline, I think crayons are great for coloring because otherwise the colored marker gets all up in the black marker and it gets all smudgy. So marker first, crayons after is my recommendation. It's totally up to you though.